Today I'm going to be talking about social media in businesses. So is it an opportunity or is it a waste or loss of time? So what will be the impact of social networks and social media in businesses? Perhaps none at all. So this seems like a rather provocative statement, right? So I'm not saying that these technologies don't have any impact, but what I'm saying is that what has the impact is not the technology itself, but rather how people and organizations are using these technologies, right? The ways that they're actually using the technologies and the affordances that they have. So in this graph here, I have a visual depiction of the evolution of productivity in Catalonia. And what's kind of striking about it is that we see a drop in productivity over, I guess, starting in about 2002, right, up until the period of the crisis. And the reason why this is interesting is because this corresponds with a time when we saw a vast growth or explosion in information and communication technologies, right? So we had the explosion of mobile technologies, the explosion of social media technologies, the rise of Google, and increasing broadband speed. All these things were going on, and we had this marked drop in productivity. So am I saying that these technologies caused this drop in productivity? Not necessarily, right? We can't make those kind of conclusions based on these data, but it's certainly an interesting thing to think about, right? It's food for thought. How might these changes be related to these drops in productivity? So it's something to think about. All right, so this is probably an image that might be familiar to many of you, right? As we've known, the recent uprisings in the Middle East and in Africa have gained a lot of press for the way that they have used social media technologies, for the way that people have used Facebook and Twitter and things like that to organize. But the thing to keep in mind is that it's not necessarily these tools that are so important, but it's the way that people were using these tools, right? So it's not that the tools created a revolution. They were just one more mechanism for people to organize and bring about change. So when Egypt's government switched off the internet, that didn't completely squelch the revolution, right? And when we think about it, we have the diversity of uprisings in Tunisia and in Egypt, Syria, and Libya, but we don't necessarily conclude that users in these last two countries were less expert than the other two. There's so many other factors at play, right? It's the technologies, it's the environmental factors, it's the political climate. So a less successful revolution doesn't necessarily mean poor social media use. So if we can make an analogy of these countries and their revolutions to businesses and innovations, right? So the point remains, it's not necessarily just implanting a technology and it has this kind of critical change, but it's how people are using them, right? It's how people and businesses might use these technologies to create innovations or to bring about change. All right, so this is just yet another illustration of this point, right? That regardless of what technologies you have, at the end of the day, what's really important is the people. Regardless if you have Facebook or Twitter, it's the people and how they're using them. And again, so I'm just driving that point home here. That it's the organizations and the people and their strategies that are the most important thing of all. Okay, so to talk a little bit about the nature of social media. So I'd like to start off with providing kind of a working definition, right? And so this definition actually yields from a social media site itself, from Wikipedia. And this is a definition that many people cite in extant research. And it says that social media is an umbrella term. So it defines the various activities that integrate technology, social interaction, and the construction of words, pictures, videos, and audio. So what's interesting about this definition is that it's very broad, right? It covers a broad range of different activities, and it's just kind of an overarching concept. But really, what is social media is extremely diverse.